So, welcome to Enigma Day number 32, believe it or not. We're already approaching the final week, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce in Erfurt Johannes Graßer.
Yes. Hello. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. And of course, first I want to say thank you to Ilana. It's an amazing project. And really, I know what there is the work behind. So thank you for all that doing. And before I want to play the first Nigan for you, when you see the recordings I did with these recordings, you see me not in my place here in Erfurt. You see me, and it's a big honor that I was allowed to make the recordings in the old synagogue in Erfurt. So you have to know, we here in Erfurt, we have the oldest synagogue in whole Europe. It's a museum this day, but in the 14th and 15th century it was a synagogue, and it's really fact that we have the oldest building was in synagogue in whole Europe, and it was a big honor to me to make these recordings there. And I also recorded the Nigan number 94. I want to start for me. One information before I'm doing this, I have a second monitor there. And then I'm looking to there. I'm also with you, but it's comfortable more for me to work on two monitors, that I'm not every time look in your eyes. So, okay. This Nigan just has the number 94, and it sounds a little bit like that.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
Simple but elegant.
It's a really simple melody with the typical A, B, C, B, or how many Nigunim works. And really, Ilana, I have to say to you and also to the other people, it was a challenge for me. Playing alone, many musicians know that isn't easy. And then I came to the questions I'm sure many of the colleagues have. What makes a sound of a tune that the tune sounds Yiddish? And I'm thankful for this experience, and it brought me to start new to think about such things. And I didn't have the right answer, and I'm sure we couldn't discuss this for a long time. But there's one thing, and I want to give you an example. An example I also bring in many workshops, how important it is to have the small things, and a little movement changing can change the whole character of a sound. Of course, if it's major or minor, it makes different, and bringing together different things could help to make a song more sound like a Yiddish song. What was not possible, you have to know, we're not allowed to play it for the recordings with some people together, so it was just a challenge to play alone, and this is hard. So with no accommodation, no rhythm instrument, just make it by your own voice or your voice from your own instrument. And I want to take the E part of this Nigin, and I'm doing a little bit changes. I'm using the major key, not minor, and I'm changing the movements and the kind of phrasings. So the beginning was, I show you again. And for me, it's so interesting just to change the slide from up to down to up. Make it totally different. Then I changed the key, and I played also several times Irish folk, and so I used some things from there, and it's totally different sounds. So again to minor and to the other things. It's nearly the same, I think, but it's totally different on the other hand. So this was one really interesting thing for me to go in these questions, what makes a sound Yiddish, and I'm sure it will be a question for the next time for me. So thank you for that challenge, Ilana.
Well, I think you've done exactly what Beregovski himself did, because I think there's a story about him doing that same thing, taking a melody and making it sound Jewish, and everybody was convinced it must be a Jewish tune.
Yeah.
So, you're following in the footsteps there.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I can play another Nigin from this collection if you want. And this is also just called Nigin, and in the three pieces I had to play, it was my favorite. It's the number 59. Yes.
I wanted to ask you, Johannes, more about Erfurt, because it's such a musically rich place in a Jewish way, both in ancient times, now, which we'll come on to, but also this connection with a certain clarinet player, Dave Tarras, I understand.
Yes, maybe some people of you know the guy Dave Tarras. It's an really important musician for the Klezmorium in this time. He grew up in Eastern Europe, was born in Ukraine, and in the 1920s he left Eastern Europe and goes to US, and there he started an enormous music career, and he recorded over 500 titles until the 70s. And it's good that Hannah Ochner is also here. Hello, because Hannah was some years ago visited Klez Canada, and there she got an information from an interview the CTMD had with Dave Terrace in 1986. And in this interview he talked about his life, his immigration to US and all the things, and there was a short sentence he described his immigration that he thought he was in Erfurt. So, and Hannah said to me, Johannes, you know that Dave Terrace was in Erfurt? And I said, what? Dave Terrace was in Erfurt? Really? What happened? And indeed, in this interview, he's talking about the way from Bucharest to Antwerp before he came on the ship to go to US. He reached USA on the 1st of April in 1921. It's around about 100 years ago, and on the way from Bucharest he was with his wife in a train, and during this trip his wife started to get birth, so they had to leave the train. So it wasn't allowed to leave the train, but the women started to have birth, and so they had to go out, and it was the next town. And in this interview he said, so I'm not sure which town it was. I forgot the name already. Erfurt, Germany. So it's amazing, I think, and for people know Dave Terrace, and he was here for 14 days during his wife was in the hospital. And in these days he visited also members of the Jewish community here in this town. He was in the synagogue, and he said in the interview that he already played music for them. A flat from a guy from here, he saw a violin, and he took the violin and played a little bit. And so, yeah, it was interesting, but of course, nobody knows that music here at this time, because Klezmer wasn't a topic at this time. But it's really interesting for me to know that, because there is already a tradition. The people today learned from himself. So, Elena, it's not a new story for you, but the people from the Klezmer revival were able to learn from Dave Terrace, and me and other colleagues learned from them. So we can say there is a real tradition to Dave Terrace, and that he was in Erfurt. It's an amazing story for me, and the Klezmer Orchestra this year is playing in a whole Dave Terrace program. But if you want, I can play in Terrace Nigin for you. And it's an Nigin Terrace recorded, I think, in the 1960s or 70s, and in an older recording it was played, I think, also with Abe Schwartz. Is it right, Hannah? I think so. By the way, Hannah is helping us to make researches for that topic, and she gave us many informations. And I'm playing for you now Tish-Nignim, also from the repertoire from Dave Terrace. Tish-Nign, also played by Dave Terrace here in Erfurt, and Dave Terrace was here around about 100 years, and it made me a little bit proud also, I have to say. So,
wonderful thing. And
yes.
so you're carrying on that tradition right there in Erfurt with a very large number of players.
Yes, that's right, and that also makes sense. Much things. We are here in Erfurt. There's a folk scene since the 1970s, and people from that came to Klezmer music. And also, you know that Jiddisch Summer Weimar isn't far away from here. And for me personally, more and more, these things make sense. Also, that we are doing this music here, that the festival is there, and there is an much longer tradition here, we think, and so it's really interesting for me to do this, and everything makes sense the last time, and people like this music, and there are different groups here also in Erfurt playing different styles of klezmer music, and we started a project some years ago. First, it was a jam session at the end of a concert, and people wanted to have more and wanted to practice. And then we had the idea to, okay, let's make an orchestra. So, the first year there were 20 people, and more people came to project next year, and we started to make practicing and had rehearsals, and it's just 5 years ago. And so in the last 5 years, it happens that there is an orchestra with over 80 people right now. It's amazing. I didn't have the plan. It just came to me. And I asked Silvia Turanko from the beginning to help me to do arrangements. And so we have this project here with many people are interesting to get more involved, to learn about the music and also the culture and the history. And this is a great thing, and also people from outside. Of course, we talked about the concept and the idea of making music together, and also an important thing is that we try to find ways that people with different levels can be involved, and people like it, and so people from outside ask how we can play with you. We are not in Erfurt, we can be part of the regular rehearsals, and so we said, okay, let's have a workshop in the beginning of the year, then you can practice yourself by yourself at home. And so people came to our Erfurt from all over Germany, also from Switzerland and Austria, and it's I'm also a little bit proud of this project. Wasn't planned, and I just take the impulses and give impulses, and let's see what happens. And if it's okay and allowed, we also did a little lockdown project. I can send a link. We invited them also to record a song, Die Reise nach Amerika von Dave Terrace, and over 50 people sent several videos to us, and we brought these together and make one video, and I think it's quite nice sound, and I'm really happy to have this project here in Erfurt and Thuringia, and not far away from Jiddisch Summer Weimar. It's also a really important project for me. So everything makes sense after years. That's really fine.
It's funny how the things just mushroom, isn't it? When they're right, things just happen. So
Yes.
you mentioned Yiddish Summer Weimar, and we have the director here. I think the first time I met you was many years ago when I came as a student, and then when I was back a couple of years ago as a member of staff, you had a different role. You were no longer just a violinist. You were very busy, I think. And
Yeah.
do you want to tell us a little about your involvement with the festival, and maybe what's happening at the moment? Because of course it's not a great time for big festivals with big anniversaries to be happening.
Yeah, and it's of course different questions. Ellen, Andreas, and me are talking every day what we can do. Situation here in Thuringia is that the head of the government from Thuringia said, okay, it's every rules are the decision from the towns. So it happens that every single town, Erfurt and also Weimar and other towns, can make their own rules. And this make it absolutely difficult to make decisions what to do. One decision is we want to offer things, but we didn't know what's allowed to offer. And I am sure that the things we want to, we have Verantwortung is, we have much more responsibility than the rules from the government. So, and the plan is that we can say in round about 2 or 3 weeks what's going on. We are discussing with public things and all the things, and we want to do things in real, and we want to bring people together, and this is also part of my orchestra project, and this is definitely inspired by the philosophy of Yeti Summer. We want to bring people together, and it from wherever they came and which different level they have, and we want to involve them and include things and bring them to another level. But their level they have, it's their thing. They can come to us with what level ever, and we invite them to learn to another level. So, and that happens when people are together, and that's why we want to do things in summer. And yeah, I hope so in 2 or 3 weeks we can say what's allowed and what we want to do. And I have to check my accu is, no, it's loading, okay. I have a final Nigen for you, but before, if it's allowed, I want to send the link to the Reise nach Amerika into the chat, and then I want to play a last Nigen. It's also from the Beregovski collection, but it's not from this Beregovski collection. It's from the other Beregovski collection, and it's in Sei gesund. And I think it's the best way to say thank you to all being here, and the wish it's necessary then. More necessary than ever. So I'm playing in Sei gesund when I found the link to the
why don't I find the link and you play the Sei gesund? How about that?
It send it, Judith send it, and I play the Sei gesund. If
that sounds like a really good division of labor. Let's do it that way.
If there are no other questions. Okay, so it's in Sei gesund. In the Beregovski collection, you know, it's the number, this Jewish collection, it's the number 83, and the violist Marko Nevesky played it on the old historical recordings, and this is, yeah, the wish I wish you all together. gesund, everybody.
Thank you so much, Johannes. It's great to have you here with us. And we wish you also sei gesund and good luck with the projects over the next few months.
Yes, everybody, sei gesund, and thanks a lot for this chance to be part of these projects. And the last question to you, Ilana, what happens with all the recordings? I'm really interested. How many recordings you have? What's going on with the project? What's your plan? Is there a plan?
Well, what is the next stage of the project? That's a really good question. We have another few days, and then we'll have to discuss the future.
Yeah. So